Once you have determined that your intervention is feasible to deliver and its participants perceive it to provide a value that is similar to its theory of change, it is time to consider whether it can achieve its intended outcomes. This means you are ready for Step 5. A Step 5 pilot study is the first time developers or commissioners will objectively consider the intervention's potential for achieving its intended outcomes. It also represents an important opportunity to practice and test the feasibility of various evaluation activities that will be used again when it comes time to conduct a Step 6 evaluation. The first pilot study need not be large or complex, but it should meet the following criteria. First, the study must include at least 20 participants. They need to complete validated measures before and after the intervention. Those completing these measures should represent at least 60% of the original population, and the study must observe positive and meaningful child change. As mentioned previously, it is very tempting to skip this step. Please don't do this, or it is likely you will live to regret it. Our Step 5 guidance describes how to conduct a fit-for-purpose pilot study that is consistent with EIF's Level 2 criteria. Positive outcomes observed through a pilot evaluation are a promising indication that an intervention can provide benefits for children and families. However, they are not proof, because pilot studies are riddled with biases that can artificially increase or decrease an intervention's true benefits. In order to prove that an intervention works, you need to take Step 6. As mentioned previously, Step 6, also referred to as an efficacy study, is the first time that causality can be attributed to the intervention model. In order to do this, however, the evaluation design must be rigorous enough to eliminate all potential sources of bias. It should therefore be conducted under ideal circumstances and should measure outcomes that are consistent with the intervention's theory of change and are important for children's development. If the intervention is judged to be effective, it should observe a statistically significant impact on a child outcome that has relevance from a public health perspective. Carrying out an RCT typically involves the technical support from an evaluation expert. Our Step 6 guidance provides detailed advice on how to conduct a robust RCT. Further advice is provided in our 6 pitfalls and how to avoid them guidance. In the event that a Step 6 efficacy study confirms positive child outcomes, the intervention is ready to take Step 7. A Step 7 evaluation, also referred to as an effectiveness trial, is a second highly rigorous study that aims to replicate the findings observed in the efficacy trial under real-world circumstances. These circumstances include processes that are less than perfect for delivering the intervention and recruiting its intended participants. The study should also consider the intervention's impact on child outcomes for a year or more after the intervention has concluded. These outcomes should be consistent with the public health benefits described at the beginning of this presentation. In Step 7, we describe how effectiveness evaluations can be conducted in real-world circumstances, as well as methods for measuring change for a year or longer. After an intervention has replicated its positive outcomes in real-world settings, it is tempting to assume that the intervention's evaluation journey has come to a close. Nothing could be farther from the truth, however, as more work is required to ensure that the intervention can achieve its intended outcomes every time it is implemented. Refinement should ideally involve the use of continuous plan, do, check, and act cycles to increase the intervention's efficiency and impact. These cycles can systematically check changes in the intervention's model or delivery to determine their impact on the intervention's previously verified outcomes. Refinement can occur at any time during an intervention's development, but is required if developers wish to take their intervention to scale. Our Step 8 guidance also describes how rapid cycle evaluations can be used to improve an intervention's effectiveness through refinements in implementation processes. These refinements may include changes to the intervention's eligibility criteria, modifications to the workforce requirements, or duration of the intervention's delivery. When interventions are transported to new contexts or cultures, substantial changes are highly likely. All of these changes should be tested and monitored. Step 9 provides advice on how evaluation designs can be used to modify interventions so that they remain effective when introduced to new and different contexts. Step 10, take to scale. At around the time interventions are undergoing cultural adaptations, most developers are also considering how they might take their intervention to scale. Scalability means that sufficient quality assurance mechanisms have been embedded into the intervention model to increase the likelihood of positive findings every time the intervention is implemented. These mechanisms include train-the-trainer models, certification processes, licensing arrangements, and implementation checklists. It is important to stress that scalability does not mean that an intervention's evaluation journey has come to an end. Instead, it means that evaluation has become fully embedded in the intervention's ongoing delivery. In Step 10, we describe many of the quality assurance processes necessary for ensuring that interventions will remain effective when taken to scale. These include processes which help determine whether local systems are ready to offer an intervention in a way that ensures it will remain effective. Step 10 also means that this presentation has come to a close. However, those wishing to gain more information about our 10 Steps framework can access the full guidance on our website. We hope that you have enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for watching.